right, moving on to topic 3. We're talking next gen now. All right.
Next gen.
Next gen.
Future is now.
Enigma can leave now.
Yeah, bye.
Hey, we'll take this one over.
Yeah.
So yes.
What do you have to contribute, sir?
Give me just 1 second. I have to go upstairs and get my top hat and monocle. So real rich.
I was smoking jacket and a pipe earlier.
Got my corncob pipe lit upstairs.
Video gaming.
Gotta pour myself just a small handle of of bourbon, so I can scotch really, so I can just slow at it.
There you go.
Yeah, brandy's a good one. Yeah.
So as these assholes are alluding to, I don't have a next gen. No. I do not have a next gen console. I was waiting on it. I think I'm leaning towards PS5 just based on games, but at the moment there doesn't seem anything that's strictly enticing me towards either of the next gen launches. The only game that was really sparking my interest, which I still have yet to play, has been Spider-Man Miles Morales, but that's on PS4 as well. Hearing good things about Astrobot, that has me intrigued, but obviously I'm not going to die if I don't play it. So yeah, leading up to the console launch, I was happy for everybody. It was when I was not chomping at the bit to find one or get one, etc. And especially with all these assholes in the world, scalping them, etc. Wasn't really a concern for me because it's like, I got all this backlog, I'll be fine. But Jeff has gotten the Series X, Brent has gotten the PS5, so I just kind of wanted to pick their brain a little bit, see, like I said, what they like about it, maybe what they don't like about it, whether it's game-wise, whether it's UI-wise, whether it's the size of the thing, whatever it is, the controller, I don't know. I just wanted to kind of pick their brains, see what they are thinking about it so far. And obviously it's only going to get better with the game libraries and hopefully how everything runs. It's early. So we've been starting with Jeff all night, so I'm going to give him a break. Brent, we're going to go to you first with the PS5. So overall thoughts, what are your thoughts on your PS5?
So, broad strokes, PlayStation 5 is a good console. It's a great console. It plays your PS4 games. I have a disc-based one. I guess I should be specific about that because there is another option with that. So, the console is. We'll start, I guess, just in a physical manner. It is it's a big boy.
Yeah.
The console, I guess, from like the top of my head would probably come down to like my pec.
Shit.
Like it's tall. And like even because I like in my entertainment setup, it's something I have to lay flat.
Oh, okay.
And it takes up like almost half of one side of my entertainment, so like everything else is kind of squished to the side. In terms of like its next gen feel, like it definitely has a next gen feel to it, and one of the big reasons is the controller itself, the DualSense. And I'm sure you've probably heard this talked to death at this point. It's, such a hot thing, but the rumble that they added to it feels like what HD Rumble was supposed to be with the Nintendo Switch. Everybody was like, oh, HD Rumble, it's like you can move the Joy-Con and feel how many ice cubes are in the thing. They always used to do that. And it wasn't until I played Astrobot, which like I wanted to try out because it's a game that comes for free on your PlayStation on the PS5, but I was like, Demon Souls for sure. That's the first thing I'm gonna play, and it was. But I was like, I'm gonna try out Astrobot and I'm gonna play it. And that game, like when somebody comes over and tries out my PS5, the first thing I do is I put them in Astrobot, and there's like a controller tutorial, and like to feel the rumble, and like when you push down the triggers and it's got that like resistance to it that if you gotta give it that little extra, like there's all these little things that are tactile enhancements to the controller, which I've always been a fan of the PlayStation controller. I know that's a war for some people. Both controllers are fine. I like the PlayStation one because I've used it forever. Uh, it, it it is definitely like bigger in my hand. I'll say for sure. Like, there's definitely a sense that the controller has that like look to it. It's got a little more girth, I guess.
Oh.
Similar to like an Xbox controller. But yeah, no, like the console is great. The controller feel like adds an actual level of something different, and then just moving on to the games and like the look of it a little bit. Like it's definitely a you play certain games and you're like, man, this you see that ray tracing. Like the ray tracing is the thing that they're like ray tracing, and it's not until you kind of see it in action that it really kind of pops at you. The thing that like really resonated with me, I guess initially was I'm playing Spider-Man, and I did the thing like everybody did, and I'm like, oh, let me check out the let me just check out this cool thing where I can uh, look at my reflection in the thing of New York, and like it's cool. It truly is. Like, there were tricks that they did in the old gen to make it feel like it's a reflection, but then you look at what the reflection is and it's something totally different. You're like, okay, what the hell is this? This is weird.
Right.
So it's cool to have that like one-to-one reflection. But, like the spot that it really pops to me is when you're playing like you're doing something at night, and there's like the way that the neon color reflects off of surfaces just adds like so much more vibrancy, and like everything feels more alive when you do that. And when you've got like a shiny car that's going through all that neon and it's reflecting off the car, like it just adds an extra level of realism to things that like you just don't get with the current gen. And like, not to say that that is a make or break thing. Like I don't think that the system would be lesser without it, but it's definitely it like there's definitely a sense of how much better and smoother everything looks when you're playing on the PS5 over the PS4. It we're never gonna have a console jump like we did, like from Super Nintendo to 64, or 64 to PlayStation. Like we're never gonna have that again, and that's totally fine, right? Um, it's big when you're
At least until we get full dive technology.
yeah. Just getting back to Cyberpunk real quick. No, it truly, it's one of those things that if you look at it by itself, you're like, is it that different? And then you look at like a comparison shot with something else, and you can see where these little touches and these little flourishes make that big difference, and that's where it really kind of stands out to me. I don't know, like, everything is like 60 frames per second, and that's something I didn't think I cared about as much until now that I have it. I feel like, I guess going back to Genshin Impact too, just for a moment, because that's a PS4 game still. They have not made a PS5 version of it.
Okay.
But that's a game that they allowed the PlayStation to use its extra resources, its extra power, to add more to the frames per second, to make things load faster. And the SSD, which I'm sure Jeff is going to have things to say about the impact of the SSD in his Xbox, but like, okay,
or not.
I'll just take it over.
It's been a long day. I'm gonna have to.
You're good.
Like the way that, like, Genshin Impact I played on the PS4 when it initially came out, and like there were things that this just must be kind of network stuff because it's a little bit slow and like it doesn't react as quick as I would like it to, and all that stuff. Well, then I got my PS5, I downloaded Genshin Impact and was started playing it again, and it was like a brand new game. Like everything was much smoother, everything ran better. I was like everything was more responsive. Just like on the PS4 you had the shell of a really good game, and then with the extra horsepower on the PS5, and this is like again, this isn't even a PS5 game. This is just using the resource to make an existing game better.
Mhm.
And it really made a difference to the point where I like didn't even feel like I was playing the same game. Uh, and then I guess the last thing I want to touch on is that solid state drive. Like, I made the joke with Ghost of Tsushima that there's a little wizard that comes packaged in with every disc,
Mhm.
and it's impossible to how they make that little wizard make the game load faster. Like, I don't understand it. But you take that same feeling and that same thought and you apply that to literally every game you play. Like that is just how it is. Like when you go to play Spider-Man, you click the cross media bar is still similar to the way it is on the PS4, but you click the Spider-Man icon and I mean, it doesn't even have a chance to like it goes dark. You get a picture of Spider-Man for like 1 second, it fades to black and fades up, and you're in the game.
Wow. Okay.
Like there's barely any time to even register what happened.
Hmm.
It's just incredible the way that it really changes. Like I always used to do the thing where it's like you would hit the load screen, you bust out your phone, and you start like dicking around doing whatever you're doing on your phone. Like that time doesn't exist anymore. Like when you go from one thing to another thing, it is instant. It is happening, and you got to be there for it. Because, like, like Demon Souls, when you would go from area to area,
Mhm.
granted the PS3 version would be like a minute. Like you could get up, go to the bathroom, get a drink, come back, and then still have a second to be prepared.
Mhm.
Like when you're teleporting between areas, like like fog fills the screen and then comes back, and you're in the area,
Wow.
which is incredible. Like and it impacts the way you play games. Because when I played Demon Souls or any Soul, like, I never wanted to teleport. Eric, so shit, I don't want to wait
Right.
a minute and a half to get to the area that I'm going to. And now with Demon Souls, I'm like, I'm just gonna go there and it's gonna be instant. It doesn't matter. So
Right.
it's the extra hardware, the extra everything that they added really feels new, especially like when you've got a TV that can handle it too. That's always an important piece of it. But
Right.
yeah, I've raved about the PS5 now for a little while.
All right.
Obviously, everybody who is a fan of PlayStation should definitely get a PS5. It is, it is a worthy successor to the console.
So, follow-up question about the rumble feature. I think it's the haptic feedback. Obviously, in Astrobot, it's kind of like that
Yep.
tech demo, similar to Wii Sports or whatever.
Sure.
Does it really? Do you feel it in other games? Do you feel it makes an impact with how you play, or at least your immersion? I guess you could say.
Yeah. So in Spider-Man, there are moments when it's happening, a struggle or a resistance, and they generally reserve it for things like story beats.
Mm-hmm.
um, but like it'll force you to kind of hit that trigger and like it's giving you the resistance in the trigger so it feels like not only is your character struggling on screen but you're struggling a little bit. And
Okay.
like when I say a struggle, it's not like you're like
Yeah.
you're not like you're not like you don't need a vice to get it down or anything, but like it just gives you that little extra. And then the rumble just gives you that little extra that you feel like, oh man, like this is a tense moment, this is a struggle that my character's having. Or even they use it to really good effect in Call of Duty Cold War,
Hmm.
where every gun in the game has its own unique uh, throw pattern for the trigger.
Hmm.
So like you can like lightly squeeze the trigger and it doesn't quite give until you hit it just the rest of the way, and then like the gun starts firing. So like it just even in an immersion sense, like that's a thing that like even in a multiplayer or a single player aspect gives you like every gun feels unique, like actually to your hand, because of the throw on the trigger. So like it's when it's used well, it is very effective. And like even going back to Astrobot, every surface you walk on has a unique feel to it. So like when you're skating on ice, there's a bit of a grindy feel. When you're walking on sand, there's kind of a more of a crunchy feel. When you're walking through mud, it's just like everything has its own particular profile in terms of how it feels when you're playing through it.
Cool. And then last question before we move over to Jeff is you mentioned the PS4 library is playable through your PS5. I don't know what level of experience you have with that. Like you mentioned, games run faster. Is it an easy process to get your games from current gen to move over to there to play, or like is it a hassle? I don't know.
No, so there's a couple of different ways you can do it. If you have games saved on like an external hard drive, you just plug that hard drive into your PS5 and play your games. I don't have an external hard drive, so for me, like when I decided I wanted to play Cyberpunk, I guess, like 'cause that's still a PS4 game. Like I bought the game, I threw the disc in, it installed, and I played it. Like there's no it does get a little complicated for certain games because you have to choose which version of the game you're playing. Things can get a little bit dicey with that, but I haven't run across that yet, so it's hard for me to say for sure.
Gotcha.
But like, yeah, I mean, I guess that exists with Bug Snacks, which I played, which is great, which is very good. I should have talked more about Bug Snacks throughout the rest of this podcast. Yeah, no, there's not like a huge and like even recovering your save, like all your saves, assuming you have PlayStation Plus, are just up in the cloud. So like you go, hey, I want this save, and then you open up your clouds and you find the one you want, you bring it in, and it's just a save like any other. You don't have to convert it or
Okay, nice.
mess around at all. Like it effectively feels like a PS4,
Okay,
just with extra horsepower.
gotcha. Nice. All right, Jeff, moving on to your Xbox Series X. What are your overall thoughts and impressions on it?
So mine's gonna be a little different. I've never been big on looking at like all the tech aspects and things like that.
Yeah.
Which is why when Brent was like, he's gonna have stuff to say about the hard drive, I was like, I honestly have no clue off the top of my head what you're talking about. I think they both have the new like the NVMe or whatever they are, the SSDs.
I think so.
I think the
Yep.
It's like custom SSDs. The X's is a little bigger than the PS5s, I believe, but not by much, like a couple hundred gigabytes.
Yeah, like the PS5 I think is an 825 gigabyte console, which I think once all the shit's in there, it's like 650 or something like that. I don't know what the Xbox starts with, but
the Series X is a 1 terabyte, and like the operating system, everything is like 164 gigabytes, I believe.
Okay.
So you end up around 800. Yeah.
Yeah. So it sounds like in both cases it uses about 150 gigs for the OS and storage and stuff.
I'll start with like same way Brent did. Like it's big. Like the Series X, I almost had to buy another shelf.
Like 3 C's thick.
It won't fit anywhere on my. I had it on its side at first, and I was like, oh, that seems a little warm. Let me put it up because I hate having consoles upright. I've always hated it.
Yeah.
So I had it on its side because it's the only way I could get it into my entertainment stand. And even then, I had to like move things around and like, oh, can I fit my PS3 on my PS4? And is that going to overheat anything? But I gave up and I was like, I moved it to a different shelf. It's sitting on top of my original NES now, upright. It looks like a refrigerator. The PS5 looks like a Keurig, and the Xbox Series X looks like a refrigerator. There's no getting around it. They look like this looks dumb. That looks ridiculous.
Like the PS5 looks like back in the 1980s when they're like, "What do you think the future looks like?" And then someone drew a PS5. That's
tower.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It looks like a tower in Mumbai or some shit.
Yep.
Yeah.
The controller, like, I honestly will occasionally mix up my. This happened the other day. Like, I was like, why isn't my fucking Xbox turning on? I'm pushing the controller's clearly on. I was using my Xbox One controller.
Oh,
They're
okay.
identical. Like it's textured more on the Series X controller, and it has a nice capture button, which I thought was missing from the Xbox One. PS5 has or PS4 just has that nice little capture button if you want to screen cap something.
Oh,
If you
yeah.
wanted to screen cap something on the Xbox One, you had to like hit the button, go into the menu. You know, it was really not intuitive at all.
I guess I'll say the PS5 has that same button as well. They brought it over.
But other than that, it's almost the exact same. Like, do I have my? Of course, I put it away. It's almost the exact same controller. It
Okay.
feels nicer. Like I said, it's super textured, and the PS5 one is as well. I think it's actually, if you look really close, it's like
The
it's all
PlayStation.
little
Yeah.
I was gonna say the inside of the fins on the PlayStation and then the back of the PlayStation controller. If you look super close, it's the sacred symbols.
Yeah.
There they
Square,
are.
triangle, circle, X, and it's an X.
Cross.
It's a cross. I call it X2. That's the only one that I break character on.
You know what? It's a Japanese console. If the Japanese had invented the letter X, I would give them that, but they didn't. So
Well,
that is an English letter, and that is an X.
it's four shapes, and a cross is a shape, and X isn't a shape. That's what the argument is.
But yeah, the controller, like, it's immediately like, okay, I know where everything is. There's nothing, weird here. Aside from the fact that I'm relatively new to the Xbox controllers. I only got that Xbox One X last year for my birthday, so I only had it for a year basically. I will say the naming system that Microsoft uses is baffling. I don't.
It's
know what they're
atrocious.
choosing. Yeah. That's like, do I call it the SXX? Do I just call it the X now? Like, do I call it? It's dumb. I don't get it.
Being a retail employee, that's a nightmare every time somebody comes up and starts talking to me about it. I'm like, all right, which Xbox do you have? Well, I got the X.
I handle the phones
That
now.
doesn't help me.
All day long is answer that.
I got
question.
the S. There's two S's. You got to be more specific.
Yep. When you boot it up, it's the exact same home screen as the X.
Okay.
The Xbox One. There's no difference. Which was nice because I don't have to. I occasionally when I moving from the PS3 to the PS4. I had a lot of control over the PS3 crossbar menu.
Oh yeah, where you put stuff.
How I organize things and everything like that. PS4, not so much.
Well, you can put it in folders, but yeah.
Yeah, but, there's stuff
after they added the update,
Fair.
years later.
Fair.
Yep. And it'll automatically move whichever one you most recently used to the front of the line.
Right.
Xbox, it's the Xbox, home screen. There's no difference. To what Brent was saying about the saves and the cloud and everything, sounds like PlayStation is still kicking ass as far as how their save system works. You can go in, you can load individual save files, delete individual save files. Every Xbox save thing I have is just one thing. You can't get rid of a single save. You got to get rid of everything, and I have no control over whether or not it's automatically updated or not, which has caused problems before. It trying to sync it every single time, and it just won't load the game because it gets stuck in some stupid sync. That's more of Xbox's their online system than it is the Series X. That's because that was happening with the Xbox One too.
Okay.
I think Sony is just better. They have a better system for save file, but that's such a minor thing. And as far as the games go, obviously, Series X lackluster launch. It was I got Valhalla. Yep. So I had something. I don't even particularly care for Assassin's Creed games anymore, but I just wanted something. And I couldn't get another Yakuza game without no, I have too many I need to play.
Yeah, I'm in the midst of that right now. I'm halfway through 2, and it's shit. There's
I have
4 more, and then I'm halfway through Judgment, so I'm in a bad place.
A conscious decision that instead of starting with 0, I'm gonna start with 1 playthrough and then go back to 0, which is gonna take me even longer now, but whatever. But it does have Game Pass. Which there's that was the big thing because there's immediately all of these games that as long as you have Game Pass Ultimate, you have immediate access to. You just got to download them. EA just put a ton of their games on it. So like one of the first things I downloaded was Fallen Order.
Nice.
That's mostly what I've been, because like I said, I only have the one game, so it's either I've been loading, Xbox One games onto I'm basically kind of using it as like an extra Xbox One right now, which seems bad, but whatever. I've been either playing those to see like, oh, does this run better,
Right.
Does it load faster? Or I've been downloading like indie games off of Game Pass. I've been having I talked about it earlier, Haven. I've been having a lot of fun with it. It's a sci-fi RPG relationship simulator it's like chill beats to study to the game as far as the concept goes. It's gorgeous. It's got like a 2-minute like watercolor opening. It's a beautiful game, and once like you load it up, it's like less than a minute to get into the game, and then there's a little bit of loading time between stages, but it's like 10-15 seconds. It seems like it loads a lot faster. It's not something I tend to pay attention to because I get so distracted so easily with really anything around me. Valhalla, I'd say probably 30 seconds loading into the game, and then as you're moving around, there's like it seems like everything's open. I haven't seen even the death, like when you die, when you reload, it's pretty quick compared to what I was seeing last generation. That being said, I'm gonna have to get more games and actually really look at it and pay attention because again, I get so distracted. And as far as like I was saying earlier, as far as tech specs go, like I've never cared. Content is king. It's the games that matter. That's always what has, with literally this generation exception, that's always what has led me to get whichever console I end up getting first, is which games are going to be on it. It was a toss-up on games this time around. Like they both had stuff I wanted. I just happened to snag a Series X as opposed to a PS5. So.
Gotcha. Do you feel when you've played Valhalla, do you feel that graphically it's improved since last gen? Like, would anything kind of take you by surprise of how it looked or how it felt overall?
Yeah, it feels a lot smoother. The games have changed a lot since I played the last Assassin's Creed 2, so that's a different for me. But I can tell just like looking at like when you have characters talking, you don't like it. Andromeda kind of exemplified this, where when things are kind of, and I don't know, rendering in game or what the word is, but like it's not an actual cutscene for the conversation; it's just the in-game stuff. Yep. People kind of look around randomly, weirdly, like they're distracted in conversations. It definitely doesn't happen with Valhalla. Everything is incredibly smooth, going from area to area. There was a little bit of problems with some screen tearing originally, but they patched that.
Okay.
Yeah, for some reason I was watching some Digital Foundry stuff, and apparently I don't remember exactly what the issue was, but there was like weird screen tearing, and the PS5 was outperforming it when it probably shouldn't have. Like the Xbox Series X is a stronger piece of hardware than the PlayStation for sure. But once they patched it, there was a little bit more parity to it.
For the size of that game, like everything that I would expect problems in, I haven't seen it. Like you can look forever in that game. There's no the image stays pretty crisp and clear. I'd expect some graphical downgrading the further something gets, but as far as I've been able to tell, everything seems really everything is just crisp and clear and nice. That's really the only new game that I've had to test it out with. And again, I don't even really consider it a Series X game, which is a problem right now because most of the games out were built for the last generation. Most of the games were built for the last generation with upgrades to the current one.
Right. Yeah, I think that was
they're not designed to take full, and that's how it is with any launch. They haven't figured out how to take full advantage yet. You know. There are caveats to that. There are games that were clearly not designed for the last generation. I think
but marketed towards it.
I think I'm gonna be able to test it. I haven't done it yet, and it's mostly because, you guys know me, my gaming schedule is psychotic. I'm constantly playing something on one console or another, so I don't have as much time to devote to the Xbox stuff. Also, I got in a lot of trouble for buying it, so I haven't been able to get any other games.
Ask for forgiveness, not permission. I like your style, bud.
So it's my ability to test it out has been limited to Game Pass, basically.
Fair enough.
But what I'm gonna do this weekend is I'm finally gonna put Control on there. That's got a pretty big upgrade to it. I want to say it's like 40 or 60 gigabytes or something like that. It's huge. But I know people were freaking out about like the ray tracing, and they were on last gen like, oh, look at the ray tracing and Control. It's like, okay, but that's right when everyone started really talking about ray tracing. So I'm gonna check it out and see how it looks on the Series X.
Yeah, well, that was the big thing, is like ray tracing didn't exist in the previous gen. So like when ray tracing kind of like Control was one of the first games that utilized it in a meaningful way, and apparently like that was the thing that like I this is accounts of other people. I didn't play Control with ray tracing, but like the way that the colors and everything would hit, and like there were times that like he was scaring himself because like the colors and the way that things were reflecting off of like, I don't even remember what they are, but like you see like the little apparitions or whatever throughout the game.
Yeah.
It's like a little fuzzy ball spot or whatever. Like it's not a thing, but like I don't know if I'm showing this very well, but like you would see the reflection off of it, like when you walk into those areas that are like taken over by the
hiss.
God, it's been like a year since I played this game. You gotta help me with some.
The hiss.
Whatever the evil dudes are.
The hiss.
The hiss.
Can he hear me?
Can you hear us, Brent?
What happened?
Yeah, his mic changed, right? Like there was a change
I thought
in his mic.
yeah.
Can you hear us now, Brent?
There I am.
Okay.
I'm getting too
Why do you
and I'm
sound
bumping
weird
through.
and
You're
not
good.
responding to
Yeah.
The hiss, like when you're in an area that's been taken over by the hiss, and like there's like a wavy, ripply pattern. Well, they include they include ray tracing on those weird like ripples. So like you'll see reflections of things that like can spook you, because like it shouldn't. It's not a thing that's there. It's a reflection of something, but like the way that it's moving in that area, like it adds like a whole other element of creepiness and like uncertainty
incredibly
to something, yeah, that already you feel that already, but then to use this effect that just amps that all the way up to 11, so to speak, like that, that's something that is a literal game changer, because now this thing has a whole nother feel to it that it didn't even have before. So like that's the sort of stuff that I'm excited to get more and more of. And like the ray tracing, this is something, granted, I don't think I would have picked up on this as much. This is something I pick up on because I watch a lot of like Digital Foundry stuff, and they're like, hey, here's why this looks good, and I'm like, oh, they're right. But like human skin, right, is partially translucent. I don't know if anyone is aware of that or not. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Light. Yeah, so human skin is partially translucent, so light gets into it and then reflects out.
Vitamin D,
and
baby.
and they can use ray tracing to show that. So you obviously don't see inside their skin or anything, but like they can add extra layers of like where things shine off of and where light reflects properly. And because they can use those techniques with ray tracing, like people look real. Like we're still in the middle of the uncanny valley, sure, but like it just feels like slowly we're taking steps across it.
Yep. Yeah, and like I said, like that's what I'm probably going to use to really test it out, because that's one of the that came out so late in the last gen's life cycle is making the most of the last gen hardware. And I don't feel like I'm really going to get a chance to test what it can do otherwise outside of that until we start to get more of the exclusives, unfortunately, that are coming out for the current gens.
Yeah.
Like medium, medium, and a couple other ones coming out.
And
because unfortunately, we designed solely for that in mind. You know.
I laugh too because we look at the games that are coming out right now, right, and they look stupid good. You're like, what? How do they even do this?
Yeah.
And then if you think about it in the context of like when the PlayStation 3 first came out, you had Resistance, which by the end of the PlayStation 3, you had The Last of Us. You look at Resistance on one hand, which looks like plastic toys, and then The Last of Us, which looks like people doing people stuff. You're like, whoa, this is a huge jump. And then on that same note, you go to the PS4 where you have like Battlefield 4, which look good, but like still problematic in places. And you look at the games that started on that console versus The Last Part 2 and Ghost of Tsushima, where like it's not photorealistic, but boy, they're pushing boundaries that like you didn't think should be possible on this hardware.
Right.
So when I look at something
in some cases, they're not.
And when I look at something like Demon Souls and I look at something like Miles Morales and I go, these are the games we're getting on day one. This is the Resistance of PS3. This is the Resistance of PS4 or Battlefield or boy, I don't even remember what was like a console launch.
I gotta say, I loved Resistance, so like I'm feeling targeted.
No, Resistance is I love Resistance. Don't get me wrong. That is a great. But like graphically, when you look at that versus where we ended up, you're like, there's a huge gap there, right? Like, that's the sort of thing that has me excited about the future of both the PlayStation and the Xbox hardware. I mean,
it's just it's fun to make those comparisons too. I always like to go back and look at like, oh, Mario 64, and then like what was the really big game on the 64? Turok Oblivion, Shadows of Oblivion, and like that had actual lip syncing and full audio. Like, but yeah, no, that's the thing. Like we're seeing things that are kind of designed to run on these, but they're basically built with like a previous gen framework. You know?
Yes.
It's gonna be a little while before we can see, especially with the Xbox, with the lack of games at launch, before we can really see what's going on. Because even with Game Pass, like all those free games, most of them were available before.
Yep.
Right.
Now, like I said, I've been having a lot of fun with Haven, though. Like the movement in that game, the music, everything flows. The way the wind moves through the grass is gorgeous.
Sure.
It is a Series X game. It's also on PS5. Weirdly enough, it's on Xbox One, but not PS4. It won't be on PS4 till next year.
Well, I'll have you know that I started downloading Haven when you told me it was like lo-fi hip-hop beats to chill to and relationship simulator. I was like, well, I'm going to download that right now.
Nice.
The music is gorgeous. I love it. Like I risked a copyright strike on YouTube to include the opening video.
It did.
The intro cinematic. I was like, I'm doing it. It's too beautiful. I don't care. Enigma watched a little bit of my playthrough of it.
Yep.
He seemed to think
We're 2 episodes in, I think. Yeah.
But yeah, unfortunately, I'm not really, aside from, testing, especially with, getting in trouble for buying it and not being able to buy any new games because I kind of had to give up all my holiday presents.
Whoops. Mistakes were made.
I'm still married. I'm not divorced yet.
Yeah.
The only way I'm really
Just
gonna
keep
be able
walking
to
that tire.
whatever's on Game Pass for the previous gen games that get upgrades. And even with the upgrades, like it's not gonna be the same as something that's built and designed from the ground up
Yep.
to run on the Series X. So
yeah,
it's gonna take me a little longer to get those kind of graphical comparisons and things like that. Everything runs really smooth. Loads are much faster, I've found. But outside of that, like I will say, from what I've seen, Sony definitely winning on the controller. Like like I said, the only real update is it's more textured and there's an extra button.
Okay.
The nice thing though is that I can use the Xbox One controllers. I can use them on the Series X. So if I do get like a multiplayer game, I can just sync one of my Xbox One controllers to it and
Wow.
then play multiplayer. That's nice.
It's funny because you see the clear differences in vision between both consoles and both companies and what they're trying to accomplish, where Xbox is trying to do the Apple thing of like iterative, but like you can still play it on the old thing, whereas Sony still is subscribed to the hard break new console generation.
It's
and
steps as opposed to slow.
I'm curious to see how that affects development in the future. So like in the next 4 years, we'll say.
Yeah.
Where you've got like your where PlayStation development and Xbox development have both hit a stride, and they're really starting to put some like real gems forward. Because unfortunately, with most console generations, like the first year or two tend to be a little bit weak. Like,
I'm gonna say the game because I don't know when Medium comes out, but the game I'm probably gonna be paying the most attention to because I'm so familiar with it, like seeing it run on the Series X, Mass Effect Legendary Edition, like the remaster. That's where I'm probably gonna really start.
Yeah.
What did they do to make this worth it? To make use of the new tech?
I'm anticipating it's gonna be a shinier version of the same thing. I don't think they're gonna. I don't think they're rebuilding it. I think they're just gonna throw like coat of paint on it and kick it back out there, which is fine. Like they don't need to do anything to those games. They're literally almost perfect.
I gotta replay through the first 2 games for
I mean, Mass Effect 2 may be one of the greatest games ever made. Like that's hard to argue. If somebody came up to me and said that, I'd be like, oh, you're not wrong. Like it's like story, gameplay, like just everything, music, everything about that game is like literally almost perfect.
You're not gonna sell Enigma on playing it, unfortunately.
His loss.
He shot everyone in the first one, and he was like, "I'm done." I think.
Don't judge Mass Effect 3 or Mass Effect 2 off of Mass Effect 1. I like Mass Effect 1, big stupid nerd, but Mass Effect 2 is a much better game.
Mass Effect 1, yeah, but it's a different beast than Mass Effect 2.
Mass Effect 1 is in the way that like old school WRPGs used to be, where it's like here's a zillion guns and none of them matter. You gotta know it. It's like okay.
There's 8 different kinds of ammo, and they all only work in one specific situation, and you can get through without ever changing them, but you should probably know what's going on.
Here's 15 suits, and one of them gives you +1 to something you don't know if it matters or not. It's like
I still have no idea what the fuck amps do.
No, but I put them on everything I can.
Yeah, exactly.
Drive around in our stupid warthog thing, the Mako, to hate your life.
Yep.
Yeah.
I guess I will because I do want to see. Very.
Yeah. Yep. But yeah, like until we get more games out on the Xbox, I'm kind of stuck with upgrades from previous gen or whatever's on Game Pass at the moment, which is still like a lot. Like I said, EA dumped so much stuff on there.
Yep, because they got the thing with EA. But like that's why I say when I buy an Xbox, because I will. Like I am buying. Yeah, like I will never purchase a physical game for that Xbox console. I won't. Like I'll have Game Pass, and then I'll have every Microsoft exclusive. I'll have all the EA games. I'll have all these cool indie games that I probably get to on other things or can't afford. Like they're just handing you this literal treasure hoard,
which
for like such a like less than the cost of Netflix per month, which is stupid.
It goes to what you were saying about like how the 2 different philosophies approaching the consoles, and like it's like Series X immediately backwards compatible all the way back. Yep. Whereas I still couldn't play a PS3 game. I wanted to play I don't know, Infamous 1. It's like I'd have to load it. I'd have to get my PS3.
That's the biggest thing that I think Sony misses the mark on is like they
don't get why they don't do
their library going back to the PlayStation 1 is probably it depending on who you're talking to is just as treasured as like the Nintendo library. Except the Nintendo library has been hoarded out like 100 times.
Yeah.
Whereas you've got all these great games that are just held hostage.
I will say, yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And it's like they have to know. Everyone talks about it. Everyone asks them to do it. You know, it's always one of the questions. Like immediately one of the questions, backwards compatibility. But I will say the shit slipped my mind. Give me one sec. Oh, the like Live Ultimate or Game Pass Ultimate versus PlayStation Plus. I did the math a little. It was a little while ago, like a month or two ago. It might have changed since then. I did the math. If you buy month to month on Game Pass Ultimate versus a full year, there's no difference in price at the end of the year, which is fucking baffling to me because you can get PS Plus, like you constantly get discounts on that for a full year.
Yeah.
Especially if you're careful and you shop online, because they're constantly throwing. Here's a year of PlayStation. Normally $60. Get it for $30.
Right.
Yeah. You can find it for 30 or 40 pretty regularly.
Almost constantly. I literally because I take advantage of that every time. I have probably PlayStation Plus through this entire next console generation already paid for.
Yeah, can't hurt.
But yeah, no, it's like I have the freedom of everything I already own, but like I'm hamstrung with like the new stuff, and I would like to play Cyberpunk. I've literally only seen the two extremes. Reviews running on PC, reviews running on last gen. I've seen almost nothing for Series X or PS5.
Well, so as somebody who is playing Cyberpunk on the PlayStation 5, what I will tell you about it is looks and runs fine. Yes, there are bugs. It is it's like a Bethesda level of bugs. like
New Vegas at launch.
Yeah, it's like a New Vegas launch right now. It's definitely, but like even already they just released hotfix like 1.05, and it cleared up a ton of stuff. And I know in January they're gonna clean up some more, and then in February they're gonna clean up some more.
Next year that's supposed to be the big the Series X proper patch.
I think that got pushed back until the game works.
Well, I just knew it was sometime next year.
Yeah, I think they were originally saying
the same game without the upgrade. Yeah.
Yeah, my plan is to play through Cyberpunk once as it is, as I'm playing it right now, and then I'll wait for the big PS5 patch before I dive back into it for a second playthrough, because it warrants a second playthrough. There's a ton of differences I can already tell just from what I've done.
Damn it. I just realized.
What?
I'm probably going to have to get the next Final Fantasy VII Remake release on the Series X, which means I'm going to have to buy Final Fantasy VII.
Are they going to release Final Fantasy
VII?
Oh,
wait, no, never mind.
I mean, they might. It's possible.
It's a chance.
I answer so many stupid questions at work right now with the consoles that it's starting to infect my brain.
Yeah.
Understandable. So you guys kind of went into it with that whole part, but I kind of wanted to ask you guys next, is there anything that you guys would want improved or maybe isn't super great about your consoles? Brent, why don't you start if there's anything you got?
The UI could use some work. It's like there were some things that they did to the PS4 UI that made it better, that they have just for a baffling reason neglected to put into the PS5, which is silly. I'm sure within a year a lot of those will be worked out, and it's stupid little stuff. Like it used to be that you could, when you're looking for your PlayStation save, for example, you could just go like to the game that you're on, hit the options button, and then there was a PlayStation thing, and you could just get your save right from there, and it was easy. Now you actually have to like go to all of the saves and find your save. So like there's little things like that I would like to see improved. I mean, outside of that, I really think they've got something special with PlayStation 5. Like, I'm always gonna say add backwards compatibility. I don't think that's a very egregious thing to ask for at this point. Like, I mean, you can get PlayStation 1 games working on an Xbox Series X right now, so like you're telling me you can't do it on a PS5?
Right,
like,
right.
It's almost becoming just a choice at this point. And to me, that's just I understand with the PS3 because the architecture was wildly different, but like if we're talking pure emulation, I was emulating PS1 games back in like 2002.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I still had to have the disc and put the
Right.
disc in, but like the program would run it and it would run reasonably well.
Mhm.
And it's 2020. Like Sony, come on. Like it's a choice now. It really is a choice now.
It feels like they're doing it intentionally, and it's like the only thing I can think of. It's like some fucking Japanese guy was like, he made this decision, and then like he was like dishonorably murdered in a duel, and like that was his like dying thing. Is
Well,
like,
no,
go back to
I'm
humility,
sure
and
what
then
happened
honor
is
me now.
I'm sure what happened is he brought it up and then his Japanese over commit seppuku and then he killed himself.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, that's he brought
It's really
great
tied up in some
shame to
executive
his
honor, though, yeah.
he brought great shame to his family name, so he was to cleanse his sins by committing ritual suicide.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah.
I heard that somewhere. Don't
Yeah, the
quote me
lore.
on it.
All right.
No, I would love to. That those would be my two fixes. The back compat thing is just a thing, a drum I will never stop beating, and the UI. It's just a matter of time. It'll be fine.
Okay. And Jeff, anything that you noticed that either you don't like or needs improvement?
A lot of the complaint, because it's so similar to the Xbox One, a lot of the complaints are the same ones I had with that. You know, the save system is really like, why can't I just pick individual files and delete or download? You know, individual save states. No, I got to do the whole thing or nothing at all, and I can't control, you know, the automatic updating and syncing. There's no control over that. It's similar to Sony's decision with the backwards compatibility. It's like, I don't get why you're not giving this very simple, easy piece of control to players. You know, like I don't, especially games that like, because some of the stuff, Haven like auto saves. There's no manual save.
Okay.
But like, there is a way to, if I exit out of the game, go to the menu, and then make a copy of my save file, it's like, okay, I have separate saves. But like, before I figured that out, like if I wanted to go back for something, I would have had to delete the whole thing. Like, it's a weird decision. Otherwise though, like, more games, please.
Right.
Any game at this point that's exclusively to the console.
It's built for this console. Yes.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I mean, I booted it up and I was like, oh, I know where everything is. Like, it's a
Familiar.
stronger, beefier, physically more ugly Xbox.
Let me ask this question, because this is something that's I've pondered on. But like, so you had the Xbox One X. You know, I'm doing it. You had the Xbox One X, and then you go out, you buy your big Series X, you come home, you plug it in, you're all excited, and it just looks the same. Like, to me, that almost feels disappointing. Like, to fire up your shine. It's kind of the same thing like when you get a new iPhone, and then you turn it on, and it's the exact same look as your old iPhone, and you're like, did I just spend $1,200 on this thing? Like that's like that's a weird thing to me, but like, it was exciting to turn on the PlayStation 5 and be like, oh, where's stuff now? I want to like dig through its crevices. Like, I want to see all the weird shit that it's got going. Like, and granted, it ended up being most of the same stuff, but like, it just felt new.
I did have a moment of that. Because like, you know, you boot up a PS3, it's like, you've got the floating lights and everything. You do the same thing with the PS4. There's
oh boy.
you know, and they changed enough between it. Like, Microsoft though has always treated this like, they treat it as half a multimedia machine. Like, half of the home screen is dedicated to random apps and things that you'll never use anyways. Like, it's essentially what it amounts to is a facelift, where like, okay, they could have tried to revamp the UI on that and everything like that, but like, instead they left it the same, and like, I assume focused that energy elsewhere, you know. So like, it would have been nice, but like I said, it's essentially the curtains rising. You know, that's not what I'm here for.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't need the Dolby fucking noise.
Well, so I guess the big reason I asked that, and you kind of alluded to it with your thing with the PlayStation, is like, when you're playing Astrobot, one of the like cool things when you get to the end of each level is they craft the skybox to be reminiscent of each PlayStation 1 through 4.
Huh.
So like you get to the first one and there's a bunch of TVs in front of you when you get to the end of the level and it does the
Oh, nice.
and then it like and like it does all the like really awesome like nostalgia stuff like
And that's such a weird
I
thing
just
because,
that's
like,
such a
the game cares. Sony doesn't care about its previous stuff.
like
you know?
and there's such a reverence that Sony has for the past which like you say you don't feel because they just ignore their old games but like there's such a reverence for
Mhm.
for
Oh,
things
yeah,
like
yeah.
that like I, I get goosebumps when I hear like the string orchestra from the 3 or like the opening thing with the PlayStation 2 with the cones or whatever they
That's
were.
what I have. Like that's what I have on my. That's my
Oh, the
theme for my
background.
PS4.
Mhm.
It's the legacy from the PS2.
It like those things to me like hold such a special thing place in my heart because I grew up with that like
Mhm.
I you know my very first PlayStation I got you know back in '96 and or was it 97 6 or 7 whatever you know I got my very first PlayStation and like you turn it on and you get the black or the white screen with the big Sony thing and then it flips to the and like there all of the all of that feels very special to me and like when I because I've owned an Xbox 360 and Xbox One in a couple different iterations and I just don't know that I have that same feel, and maybe that's just me. Maybe
No,
I'm a little bit biased in that sense, but
you're definitely right. Like Sony treats their home menus like, like a almost like a place to chill out and be comfortable. Microsoft, it's literally menus, and it has been since the 360. It's like, okay, this is where your games are. This is where your social is. This is where,
like
and they want it like that. Like they want it to
the
be like almost a computer as opposed to a console.
the
And they
only the only Xbox interface I remember, and it's because of how bad it was, were the fucking blades. Like the
Oh.
blades, remember? Like oh my, just go on your computer and type Xbox blades, and like there's got to be a picture of it somewhere. Let me
yeah. Because again, like I didn't get
Xbox
it.
Blades UI. Oh my god. You'll as soon as you see it, you're gonna be like, oh shit, those things. Like they were. You had to hit the
Blades
bumpers to go
Mhm.
between the things.
yeah.
Oh my god.
Idiot. It looks like somebody stacked a bunch of CDs on the side of the screen.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. Those were the blades.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
No, they.
it's unfortunate that that's the only thing I remember about Xbox UIs is the one that was the worst.
Mhm. Yeah. No, the PlayStation has definitely always had in my opinion, a better like menu screen. Just in terms of control and what you can do with it, and like Xbox, it's got so much stuff that I'm never gonna look at, But it's there, and that's what they're doing, and that's what they've
Yeah.
been doing for years, and I don't see them changing it. So
Sure. Makes sense.
whatever, the game that I want, the game that because I got the physical or the disc version, so the game that I want to play that I just put in is right there anyways. I don't need to go looking for anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Everything's done with the one button on the controller anyways. You hit that Xbox button, and then you just games, movies, whatever I want
Right.
there. I don't need to go looking through.
It's like why even have a UI if like you just end
There's
up
really-
getting into the
it's
console and
superfluous,
use the little quick menu.
It's totally superfluous. So, which might be
Yeah.
why we have to have something. Yeah, just bring the old one over. Nobody
back the
uses it,
blades.
but we gotta have something.
Let's get it trending on Twitter.
Yeah.
Bring back the blades.
Yeah. Other than that, like no, it feels like a stronger, beefier, faster Xbox One X, which again I've only had for a little over a year. So I'm really late to the party on that console.
So like they're truly just kind of aping what Apple does, like right down to you buy the new iPhone, and like
Yeah.
you bring over your profile. So like even the lock screen looks the same. Like, they just don't do anything different
Right.
to it.
Essentially,
Okay.
So
Alright.
like it's
Which is fine. It's a choice.
Please.
And like at the end of the day, these are such minor things because, like you say, like I don't I have the nostalgia when it comes to all my PlayStation stuff because I'm still a child at 35, but uh, definitely for me, it's about the games. I go to where the games are.
Hmm. All right. Last question. Oh,
So,
last question for both of you guys. Any worries about storage with how the size of these games are?
Um, I don't. I've never had worries about storage. Like I, I may be benefiting from the fact that I don't have a data cap. So if I had a data cap where it's like you can only do so much in a month,
Mm.
I would probably worry a little bit more. But like, I don't. I don't keep a bunch of stuff on my console. I'm perfectly happy to get to a point where I'm like, nope, I'm done with this. Delete it. Don't care. And
Gotcha.
like, if I need to re-download it at some point, or I decide I want to re-download it, like, I don't have this thing where I need to have like 700 games like at the ready right this second just in case like I. But what if I want to play Infinity Warfare or something? It's like, no, I'm never gonna play Infinite Warfare. Like I don't even know why I would still have a copy of it. Like
Mhm.
let's just move on.
Gotcha.
mhm.
So like space to me, like you can easily fit 10, 15 games on there, which is more than I'll ever need.
Okay.
Yeah. I used to have that where like my PS3 has a 2 terabyte hard drive in it.
Damn.
And like as time goes on, as consoles get older, especially now, I imagine I'll still keep that a little bit, but like with my PS3, that that store, like the PlayStation 3 store, is still open right now. It's still functioning.
Yeah.
But like when they start to close that down and it loses online functionality, it's gonna be like, okay, I have to get all of my digital games from my library on there right now. I've got to make sure there's room for it.
Sure.
The physical games, who cares? I've got the disc, what doesn't matter. But as far as this console goes, like it's got a 1 terabyte hard drive. I haven't gotten close to filling up
Right.
my One
Yeah,
X.
me neither.
I put a ton of stuff on it. I've had to delete some stuff from my PS4, but that's because like I consistently have like, freaking Red Dead 2 on there,
Yeah.
things like that. Like these giant, like the biggest size games of the previous generation, and it's still on there because like I don't want to, when I know I'm gonna want to play it again. When I do
Don't
want to
wanna
play it, I don't want
re-down.
to wait a half a
Yeah.
day to download it.
Yeah.
That's
Stupid ass Modern Warfare.
Yeah, that's the only time that's the only time I've
200
ever had,
gigs.
yeah, that's the only time I've ever had to delete something from the PS4. It's because there's something I know I'm going to want to play, but I'm not playing right now. I don't want to re-download later.
Right.
But there's some new thing I want to download. Most things are like 80 gigabytes, 40 to 80 gigabytes. It's fine.
Yeah.
If it probably weren't for 1 or 2 or maybe 3 games, I wouldn't have deleted anything off of the PS4 yet, aside
Gotcha.
from small games.
Yeah.
And it seems like it's going that way with the Xbox as well.
Yeah, that's I like I say, I just come back to I'm perfectly fine if there's a like you say you hold on to things like Red Dead because like, but what if I want to play it? That's a huge file. I don't want to have to do it again, or you might play it soon. I'm still just like whatever. If I'm not playing, I'm not playing. I'm just gonna delete it, whatever.
Yeah.
All right.
Also, like,
And if I prove myself wrong, I'll just re-download it. Take it, I'll waste an hour of my day and re-download it and do something else.
Yeah, it seems like Final Fantasy 15. That was the other one that took up a ton of space.
I downloaded Final Fantasy 15 on my PS5.
Yeah, nice.
It's got an uncapped frame rate and native 4K. Looks real good.
Cool. It seems like from what little I've looked into, like upgrading like external hard drives and things like that for the Series X, it seems like it's just plug and go.
Yeah, they have their own
Yeah, the
special
Series
ones.
X has those like
store the whole game and everything on there and all that kind of stuff. And
yeah, the Series X has those little cards that you have to use.
Yep.
Which is a cool idea. They are fucking expensive though.
Oh yeah.
God.
Well, that's how that's what it's gonna be going forward now. Like, we're gonna start to see, when we used to laugh at PC gamers anytime they had to upgrade something. It's like now that we're starting to get to those kind of hard drives and things like that, the SSDs, upgrading those is gonna be.
I'm willing to bet that I'm gonna give it 3 years. Write this down somewhere. We can have another podcast in 3 years. We are going to start hearing rumors about a PS5 Pro and a Xbox Series Z or whatever stupid thing they name it at that point. Like, I think we're also going to have...
It'll be a year and a half after the Switch Pro comes out. Yeah, we'll start hearing it, yeah.
Here we go.
Well,
He's ready for us. Mark my words. PS5 Pro.
Oh, God. All right.
2023, you get back with me.
There you go.
So,
We'll do.
I realized as I was saying all this, I'm still using like a 10-year-old plasma TV. So that may be.
Could be.
I have to upgrade that too.
Yeah, I'm in the market for a new TV here myself. So.
I had a choice between a console or a TV. You know, I'm not buying a new TV during the holidays. I know how long those last. Get one in the summer.
Well, you know what? I'm single, so I'm gonna make whatever stupid decisions I want.
Boom. Nice. Awesome. Well, glad to hear you guys' thoughts on the next gen. Glad you guys have them and are enjoying them. And yeah, hopefully, obviously they'll continue to go with game releases on Xbox and things that happen on PS5. Go ahead, Jeff. What do you got?
One other thing, I just want to say, like, I'm really, really freaking glad that Switch doesn't use it, obviously, but both of them, like, you just have those non-polarized power cords now.
Yep.
You don't have, it's not proprietary or anything. I can have one cord plugged into the wall of my TV upstairs, and whichever one I want to bring upstairs, I can, and I just, literally the same cables, the exact same cables. It's awesome. I love it. It's beautiful.
Yeah,
nice.
that is a nice little bonus to.
It's such a small thing, but like,
Yeah.
Convenience.
It's so easy to bring stuff like, oh, the kids want to play Untitled Goose Game. All right, I can just unplug the one thing and plug in the other, and they're good to go.
I didn't even think about that. I should buy another cord, bring it down here by my computer.
I literally just have, like, there's just a cord. There's one of those that's not plugged in upstairs right now for whenever I want to bring something up.
Could have that. Could have that PlayStation 5 down here in a couple minutes if that were the case.
I was going a totally different way with it. I thought Brent was going to be like, shit, I didn't think about that game, Untitled Goose Game, 2020 game of the year. Oh, man.
I'm pretty sure Untitled Goose Game was 2019.
Was it? Oh, shit, yeah, it was. Yeah, my bad. They did the whole Beaker segment. How did I forget the Beaker segment? Come on. My bad.
Yeah.
Well, everybody, this has been another episode of the Wait, What Are We Talking About podcast. My name is Bret, a.k.a. Enigma9011, and today, once again, I was joined by Jeff, a.k.a. Jeff Reg, and Brent, a.k.a. Uber Brent. Gentlemen, thank you guys for being on the podcast once again, chatting all the games and the next-gen excitement. Appreciate it. Definitely won't be the last.
I look forward to doing this again 3 years from now when I'm proved right.
You know it. Mark it in your calendars, people. If you guys want to catch the podcast live.
Pandemic, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's plan now.
Let's do it.
What's the thing at the end of Wet Hot American Summer? No, let's plan it for then and be there at that time.
Hey, Google. Set a reminder for 2023.
8 p.m.
Also, my Google upstairs is yelling at me right now.
Oh.
That joke's for you guys.
That's all right. My wife upstairs is yelling at me, so.
Uh-oh. I'll wrap up fast.
Oh, my wife's a Google.
Oh.
See, if you just, should have gotten Cortana,
Yeah, because she'll be alive for a long time. She's evil now, I think.
She is?
Dude, I haven't played any of them.
I don't know.
I got the Master Chief collection.
Well, you're
not just.
so many years behind.
Let me tell you about the deep and rich story of Halo, where green suit guy shoots all the bad dudes.
I played a little bit of it, and I was recording it for the YouTube channel, and I was like, I'm curious to see, because, like, I feel like, he's a big character. Like, he's a recognizable character in video gaming, but, like, Mario, Link, everybody, they've all got personalities, and as far as I know about Master Chief is, like, he's green.
John Halo is gonna give them back their bomb, okay?
He is.
That was the cliffhanger for the second game.
Good one. It was a good one.
I wish that was a joke.
Nope.
I wish that was a joke. That is the cliffhanger.
Gonna surf this thing right into
John Halo is gonna give them back their bomb.
If you want to catch this podcast live, you can. Just go to twitch.tv/Enigma9011 every other Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern. You can join the chat like Papa Griff and Polar Knights did today. Join the chat, join the conversation. We'd love to have you because it always makes it more fun and exciting. If you can't catch it live, that's A-OK. Go over to YouTube and SoundCloud the following Friday, where it's put as one big video in MP3 for your amusement. Just search Enigma9011. And remember, guys, merch store, get all of your swag over there, t-shirts, cups, backpacks, and more. Rep the brand, support us. It would be greatly appreciated. Gentlemen, once again, thank you guys for being on. I do appreciate your time, all 3 hours of it that it was today.
You're never going to have both of us on and have it be short.
No, yeah. I mean, that's just the recording. Maybe I can chop it down.
I'll add an hour just for tangents.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Yeah, and don't forget to tune in for Star Wars, a character from 50 years ago side story. It's going to be so good. You're going to see all the guys that you love and know, and it's not going to have anything around. Stay tuned. Fucking Star Wars.
This is going to be funny when the actual like podcast version of this goes up, and all the like your entire rant from before like the podcast started. Like, why does he keep bringing up Star Wars and getting really
This man is angry for some reason. I don't understand.
I'm real angry about Star Wars.
That's why you guys show up live, pre-show content.
Right. Brent put up a producer's note. Brent hates new Star Wars. I don't hate it. I love it, but it makes me very angry.
And you won't like him when he's angry.
No, I turn green and I wear purple shorts. It's terrifying.
Thank you guys for tuning in.
I'm not going to say that while the podcast part is live.
Oh, no.
I don't want to. I think I'm going to disconnect before the podcast is over.
Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. We will catch you guys on the next one.